Well, yeah, we'll wait. 1 minute.
So folks, welcome to this podcast.
Starting.
Broadcasting, joining me live here. Hello, 1, 2.
Please have your seats. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we are indeed happy to welcome all of you here to the headquarters of the CMC. Today, the political leader of the CMC will be speaking specifically to the just submitted national budget. This is the official position of the Citizens Movement for Change. For those of you joining us via the viewer platform, invited here and following us on video, over the video to every executive here and all the radio stations across the country. We want to say you are wholeheartedly welcome. We now want to take this time to recognize our party officials here present, and on behalf of the party, we want to say you are wholeheartedly welcome. At this point, we will join Honorable Musa Hassan, Bility, political leader of the CMC, for a statement representing the Citizen Movement for Change, directly discussing the recently submitted national budget. Mr. Bility.
Thank you. Fellow Liberians, the 2026 national budget before us is not just a document of numbers. It should be a mirror reflecting our nation's soul. Sadly, instead, this budget tells the story of a government that has mastered the art of taxing and spending, but forgotten the sacred duty to build and serve. This is an eating show budget, crafted for spectacle, not for substance, deception, not for development. It is a budget of illusion, built on fantasies and inflated by lies. The government proposed 2026 fiscal budget proudly declared over $1.2 billion United States dollars in expected revenue. Yet, nearly 17% of that amount, $200 million, comes from a one-time payment by ArcelorMittal in 2026. Ask yourself, can a nation be built on a single windfall, mortgaged on the hopes of corporate generosity? We think not. And that's why the government budget projection for fiscal year 2027 and 2028 shows a drastic reduction. When that windfall dries up in 2027, who will the government blame? Who will they tax? The market women whose daily earning average less than $2? The motorcyclists who are already burdened by levies? The teachers, nurses, law enforcement officers who, according to recent surveys, earn below the regional minimum wage and live paycheck by paycheck. Is this fair? Obviously, we think not. The projection of $10 million in contingency revenue from asset recovery force has been positioned as a means to boost our national budget, pushing it beyond the $1 billion mark. This maneuver is a clever illustration of the shameless inflation of the national budget, which we view as an eating show budget, where speculative and unrealistic revenue streams are used to increase government spending. This is especially so in light of the fact that the Asset Recovery Task Force has done next to nothing towards prosecuting cases in court, less proving possibility or probability of its ability to collect on these projections. Using one-off revenue windfalls to fund ongoing expenditures or disperse it across numerous projects will only provide temporary relief without addressing Liberia's fundamental development challenges. Instead, we believe that dedicating such funds to establishing and capitalizing an agricultural investment bank represents a much more forward-looking, transformational investment. Such an initiative will not only support the 60% of Liberians working in the agricultural sector, but also set the country on a path towards sustainable poverty reduction and inclusive economic growth. Fellow Liberians, the 2026 figure do not represent responsible budgeting and prudent fiscal management. This is betrayal disguised as policy. The government calls this fiscal expansion growth. But we in the CMC call it what it is, reckless indulgence. Consider these facts. The legislative budget has increased by 25% from 41 million to almost 52 million, even as basic services remain underfunded. The national security budget has been raised by 45% to $151 million, an addition of over $15 million, with little or no increment in police, which is the first defense of security and protection for the people. No report, no achievement marked, even while violent crimes and domestic insecurity remain rampant. 3. Bureaucratic compensation consumed over 27% of the total budget, now increased from $315 million to over $227 million, a difference of $14 million. Yet, the sector that employs over 60% of Liberia and has the highest potential to feed our people, generates sustainable revenue stream, agriculture receives barely 1% of the national budget, less than $14 million, and far less funding under the $14 million is far less funding under the presidential advisor, meaning all the presidential advisors make more money than the government of Liberia invests in agriculture. 1% for farmers and 27% for bureaucracy. 17 out of 18 state-owned enterprises listed in the budget annex failed to submit financial plan for review. This undermines the integrity of the national budget process. It is a clear violation of the public financial management law and leads to a lack of transparency regarding these entities' financial position. Consequently, the government cannot adequately and accurately assess or plan for necessary fiscal report, making the overall budget less reliable and increasing fiscal rate due to unknown obligation and exposure. These are not signs of growth. They are symptoms of greed in this Liberia we want. The question we ask, is this the Liberia that we want? Is this the promise we made to our children? A future of dependency, debt, and despair? Are we being told? We are being told that this is a budget meant to rescue the nation. But now, how can it be when it neglects the very hands that till the soil, teach our children, heal our sick, protect our nation. The CMC offer a different path, a bold, honest, and people-centered vision. Our contract with Liberia, we call it the people's budget. And it rests on these three sacred principles. 1, development with dignity, investing in human capital, not political capital. 2, Liberia first economics, turning our natural resources, our natural wealth into national prosperity. 3, replacing, not repairing, breaking away from old systems that reward incompetence and punish productivity. Under the CMC people budget, we shall address the following. Increase education funding. The CMC will significantly increase allocation for education by up to 15% in our first national budget and 20% in our second budget, with the goal of meeting the minimum required by international best practice. By doing this, we ensure that every child has access to quality public education, modern educational facilities, and well-trained teachers. We shall implement entrepreneurship programs and vocational training that link education directly to jobs. This contrasts with the current government's limited investment in education. Agriculture. The current budget unfunds this critical sector. We have a duty to support our farmers and invest in our food security. In addition, the Maputo Declaration, which Liberia is a signatory to, requires that all African countries spend at least 10% of its expenditure on agriculture. We shall fulfill our duty to the Liberian farmers and in compliance with the Maputo Declaration by raising agricultural budget to $120 million, up from the current minuscule $13.6 million. This would allow for support to agribusiness startup and value chain development, fostering private sector innovation in agriculture. 3, investment in healthcare. The CMC will increase the current expenditure in health by $50 million from the proposed $101 million in the budget in order to modernize hospitals that will provide improved access to quality health care and free primary health care. Investment in infrastructure. The proposed budget includes $133 million for infrastructure. This is woefully inadequate to address the critical and urgent infrastructure need in the country. Today, only 15% of rural roads are passable year-round. We will increase the expenditure to $220 million, which will be used to develop and extend rural and feeder roads network and build bridges that connect our economy and our people. Additionally, we will invest in technology to enhance our government efficiency, monitoring and evaluation, and create opportunities for public-private partnership to build and maintain critical infrastructure, including schools, research centers, and rural roads. Investment in macro and small medium enterprise. The CMC views the development and sustainability of SME as the bedrock of the Liberian economy. Thus, the amount of $16 million proposed in this budget is inadequate to promote private sector growth and development. We shall increase this amount to $32 million in direct support and credit guarantees. How will CMC pay for this increased budgetary allocation to education, agriculture, healthcare, and infrastructure? 1, cutting fraud, waste, and abuse. We will adequately capacitate oversight bodies to audit